Welcome to the Business Reignitor series, episode 5. I get asked quite a lot from business owners for ideas of how to grow their business. So in this series, I look at different types of businesses that we're interested in partnering with to talk through what I do with each business to help it grow and dominate its local market. During my career, I've grown multiple businesses into multi-million pounds, 7 and 8 figure revenue businesses across multiple industries. And this is the same process I use with those. During the series, I'll pick a random company off the internet and I'll do a deep dive into what I'd do with that company if I owned it or if I was running it myself. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about an architect business. So let's get into this. So in this video, we're looking at a company called Aristides Dallas Architects based in Greece. I hope I pronounced that name properly. Now, I don't know this company. I don't know anyone in it. I've never come into contact with this business before, and they aren't paying me to promote the business. So I'm basing all my growth suggestions on assumptions, all based on what I can see on the website. Now, obviously, if I was actually inside this business, I'd probably choose a few different or additional strategies than what I'll talk about in this video. But these are just pieces of inspiration that I get when I'm inside a business. So none of what I talk about is meant to be derogatory in any way, and it's not intention to cause any kind of damage to the business. If you're a client in this business, please don't let my suggestions determine whether you decide to work with them or not. And if it's relevant, please do your own due diligence on the business as well. Likewise, nothing in this video is an endorsement of the business. So if you're interested in working with this company, the web address is on the screen. You can reach them through that, and I'm sure they'll appreciate that extra web traffic as well. One thing I've noticed from coming into contact with hundreds of businesses over the years is that most share the same issues and reasons why they just seem a bit stagnant in the growth. Now, I'm not saying this business shares those issues or that they're stagnant in the growth. I've not seen their accounts, so I don't know whether that's true or not. But what I found, when a business is stagnant or it's struggling to grow, it's because they need what I call a bit of a reignition. Most of the time, it's not even a lot that needs doing with the business. It's normally just small tweaks or changes, and then it just takes off. But with every business, we have to start with where the business is right now. I'm not talking about their physical location, although that comes into it. I'm talking about every part of the business. Without doing this step, it's like having a map and saying you want to go to, let's say, Disneyland, Florida, but not knowing where you're at on that map. How can you sat nav give you the directions of how to get there if it doesn't know where you're starting from? Now, there's lots that go into understanding where the business is, which for this business, we don't have access to that information. So it's difficult to do that. So we'll focus on what we do know about them based on what's on the website. So what do they do? Who do they do it for? How big is the business? What assets does it have? How many staff? And does it employ a management team, or is it reliant on the owners? But everything starts with the customer, and you'll see what I mean by this as we move through this. So this business doesn't specify who they work for. I assume it's whoever comes to the door or calls their office. So this is why it's even more important to go through the foundational stage that we just talked about, where you analyze the customer base, because that will tell you which sectors the business works for, which are the most profitable sectors, which are the most in-demand sectors, and most important, which sectors are the largest growth market for the business in the future. Imagine how important it is to know that if you're focused on a particular sector, that in 5 years from now, that sector will be dead. Let's say a sector like the high street retail sector. Even if the business is in a high street retail business, if its customers come from that sector, then it will also die along with that sector, unless it takes some emergency action before it's too late. So for this company, the first strategy to focus on would be to do that and get clear on exactly who they're focused on serving. And when they do that, they'll free up resource and their own time, which they can invest those resources into the most profitable and growing group of customers instead. And what you normally find is 80% of your profits come from about 20% of your clients. So getting clear on this, they can drop certain clients or types of clients which have probably taken a lot to cash flow and to manage, and the business will see a massive improvement overnight by doing that. I've done this so many times across every business I've been involved with. When they know who the business is working for, the type of client and the sector, we need to understand what that client is buying during that journey to solving their problem. And it's not just about what the client buys from them. It's about everything that they buy from every other company in that journey. So we can see this business has listed a number of projects, and they seem to focus mainly on residential or bespoke homes. I also noticed that they've got a couple of commercial projects listed in there as well, so some offices and a hotel. So we want to imagine how can we maximize what this group of clients spends with the business. So with this business, the product and services it provides are generally just architecture design services. And I noticed, looking at the staff employed in the business, there's one that also does interior design. Now, if I were growing this business, I'd add a number of offerings to it. I'd start with expanding the interior design service. I'd add landscape design. I'd add site master planning, so they could work on much larger developments. I'd want to add in building services design for all the services like electrical and mechanical, as well as renewable energy services. And I'd want to add project management services to the business too. By doing these, the business becomes a full design practice for their clients, but they can also oversee the delivery of it too. I wouldn't do these all at the same time. I'd bring each one in over time, probably taking between 3, 6, even 9 months on each one, launching it, testing it, optimizing it, with that end goal of operating it almost like a standalone business with its own group of staff. And obviously that doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. But I start with what I'd call testbed customers. And these are customers that are happy to be that guinea pig for the new offerings. And maybe they get the offering at a big discount, but what you use these customers for is to refine the product offering and iron out any issues with delivery before you can start to scale it to the rest of your customers. After I know the process is working, I then dedicate someone to sell this new offering to the company's existing customers. One thing I see over and over again, that when a business creates a new product or a new service offering, they create something that their existing customers don't have a need for or they aren't already buying. And this means they have to go and they have to go out and find new customers to sell that new thing to. I think it's caused because perhaps they look at what their competitors are doing, and maybe the competitor provides a service that their business doesn't. And so they automatically just create that product offering, but they don't have anyone to sell it to. So they have to start targeting new customers, which costs money, it eats up your cash flow, it reduces your profit margins, and it ends up taking much longer before you reach the same end result. It's much more profitable and faster to see results if you focus on selling more to your existing customers. So the next thing I'd do is I'd create a standalone residential development business, so it can build its own luxury bespoke homes and sell them as a finished product, which would also increase its profit margins. I'd do the same with commercial developments too, creating that finished product. And finally, I'd look to expand it to neighboring countries like Cyprus and Turkey. I'd also look at adding partnerships to the business. The first being a funding partnership, which would provide the funds to develop their own projects. Second, I'd do a partnership with complementary service providers so they can offer every service under one roof, either directly or through selected partners. And then third, I'd look to do partnerships with partners that could provide access to more commercial projects. Obviously, doing each of these activities or strategies will need a level of investment to bring it to life. Now, that might just be a time investment, but others might need significant financial investment. And from that investment, you'd expect to see a return on each of those activities. So we want to prioritize each of these strategies or activities according to a few criteria. So how much investment is needed? What are the expected returns? How fast will we see those returns? And how much cash flow or further investment will each of those actions need in the future or to operate it within the business? And then the next question is, how much should the business invest into these growth projects? And obviously, we don't know the numbers for this business, so it really depends on the business numbers and what their growth projections are. But as a rule of thumb, I'd look to invest around 15 to 20% of the projected revenue for next year. So let's say the business has 2 million revenue now, and it wants to reach 2.5 million revenue next year. And then the investment budget of between 375,000 and 500,000 would be about right to do that. So we created a number of strategies to focus on growing this business. Now, the problem that I see with most businesses that try to do these strategies is they'll go off and they'll start trying to do it all themselves. The problem with doing that is it becomes a distraction to your existing core business. In the various businesses I've been involved with myself doing this, it was me and maybe a small group of people that focused on doing this growth plan, while the rest of the business continued to be run by people that were dedicated to that part of it. And you have to really think about these growth projects or these growth activities like you're creating this special task force, and that special task force is going to create that new thing, whatever that thing might be. To give you an example, if you think about Apple, now Apple have shops and they have people looking after the manufacturing of those products, but they also have a completely separate group of people that focus solely on designing and creating new products. And that team of people don't do anything else. They don't get involved in fixing people's faulty phones. They don't build iPads. They don't work in the shops selling things. They work on designing and creating new products. Some of those products won't even be available to buy for the next 5 years. But that's how every business should think about it. Apple might be a big business now, but it was the same when they first got started. They always had one group of people that would be building those computers, but then they'd have a small group of people that was creating the next product. And this is what we do. We're like that special task force in a business. So the final question is, how does this business go about doing these strategies? Now, we use a lot of different frameworks and tools that we've created over the last 30 years of doing this in our own businesses. A lot of these frameworks and tools are available through our website or through courses, books, videos that we've created. But the intention of doing these videos is to attract suitable partners to us, where if you're aligned with what we're doing and we want to go to the same place together, then we'll work with you and we'll do this process with you as a joint venture. So if that sounds interesting, the place to go is our website. I'll leave a link in the description and you can reach us there. If you haven't seen my latest books, I'd highly recommend you read these, the Momentum Framework and my most recent book, Sustainable Community, where I go much deeper into using these strategies. And I'll leave a link in the description for those. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some value from the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.